Okay, so I just wanted to show you first what page 1 will look like when it's completed, so you have an idea first of what you're doing. Alright, so it's going to open like that, and over here this opens like that, and this is a pocket, and then this is going to pull down, and there we go, and do the moving waterfall. And just so you know, this is the optional. I have one piece that's optional, so this is the optional piece. You can choose to do it or not. I had it so it folded over like that. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you so desire, it is there. Okay, so that is your page 1, and now I will show you all the pieces that will be needed. We're gonna put this. Piece A is 7 7/8 inches by 8.5. Okay, piece B will be 7 1/4 by 6 1/4. C will be 6 1/4 by 6 3/4. D, 2 1/4 inches by 8 1/4. You'll need 5 E pieces, and they measure 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. Your F piece is 5 1/2 by 11 inches. G is 5 by 6. You will need 2 H pieces, and they measure 4 1/4 by 7. And then your optional I piece is 6 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, so those are all the pieces you will need. Now we'll get our scoreboard and we'll start scoring them all. So piece A will be scored at half on the 8.5 inch side. So the 8.5 is at the top, and we're going to score it at half. And then we are going to rotate the piece a quarter turn, so that first score line that you just did is now at the top, and we are going to score again at half, and 7 3/8 on the 7 7/8 inch side. Okay, so you've got a ½ inch on either, on all three, on 3 of the sides you've got a ½ inch score line. Okay, so that's A. Put your B piece in on the 7 1/4 inch side, and we are going to score at 4 1/4, 4 3/4, 5 1/4, 5 3/4, 6 1/4, and 6 3/4. Okay, so you're going to have a piece that looks like that. That's your B. C doesn't need to be scored at all, so we'll just put that aside. The D piece, put it in on the 8 1/4 inch side, and we're going to score at 7/8 of an inch, 1 inch, 7 1/4, and 7 3/8. Okay, so you've got a piece that has like 2 little gussets there. Okay, so the 5 E pieces don't need to be scored at all. Your F piece, we're going to score at half on the 5 1/2 inch side. Okay, and then we are going to flip it over and rotate it, so that ½ inch first section that the first score line you did is now at the bottom, and it's showing the mountain side. Okay, and we are going to score again at 6 1/4. Okay, just like that. Okay, the G piece will be scored at half on the 6-inch side. Easy peasy. Both of the H pieces will be scored at half on the 4 1/4 inch side. That's 1. And 2. And the optional piece I, if you choose to do it, will be scored at half on the 4 3/4 inch side. All right, fantastic. So that's your scoring done. We'll put the scoreboard away. And we are going to add score tape to all of our 1/2 inch sections except for piece B. Leave piece B alone, but to all the rest of them, we're going to add score tape to the 1/2 inch sections. Remember to leave that small gap in between the score tape itself and the score line. Okay, oh, are you gonna... someday I'll have a beautiful studio that has nice light, but for now, there, you can probably see it. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And we're doing it on the valley side, remember? And F is just a little bit different. We're just going to put score tape on the longer part of that 1/2 inch section. So just like that, we're going to be cutting this off in a minute. Okay, so I've just put it there, just so you can see that. No score lines. The D, it's not a 1/2 inch, it's a 3/4 inch, but it still needs score tape. So okay, nothing. If there's no score lines, then you don't have to do anything. So the B piece, we're going to be adding score tape to each one of the sections, but this one is not going to get mitered like the rest of them. The rest of them we're going to miter the corners, but B, we're not going to snip anything off of. Now this one's really important that no adhesive is on top of any of the score lines, or the whole mechanism will not work correctly. It'll get stuck. Okay, there's B. And your A piece needs score tape on all 3 sides. Awesome. Now we can start mitering the corners. Okay, so A is going to be a pocket. So we're going to miter the 2 top corners like that, and then whenever there's a score lines that intersect, you're going to cut in at an angle from the edge and then out at an angle. Okay, so it looks like that. And the other sides look like that. Okay, so there's your A. Like I said, B does not get any mitering done to it. It's just like that. C doesn't have any score lines. D We'll miter the two sides of D. So we only ever miter corners that have score tape. If we've added score tape to it, that is saying that we need to trim a little excess off the corner. Okay, no score tape on E's. The F piece, like I said, we are going to cut off this shorter 1/2 inch section. Alright, so we're just going to cut along the score line until it meets this other horizontal score line, and then cut at an angle. Okay, so it should look like that. And then the rest of them are just straight up mitering on the edges. And it doesn't have to be, there's no perfect angle. You're just trimming off a little bit. It's more for aesthetics than it is anything else. I mean, if you forget to miter the corners on a piece, it is certainly not the end of the world. Everything will still work fine. Okay, so now that we've got all that done, now we are going to use our bone folder to fold and crease on all of the score lines. Make sure everything's creased really well. The better it's creased, the better things will fold, and the better things will move and open and close and maneuver the way they should. Okay, so I'm going to do part of this off camera, so you're just folding all of the score lines if it's a valley. So for instance, on your, what is this, the F piece, the two score lines, because we flipped it over, they're going in opposite directions. So it's going to look like this. One part is going to fold like that, and then this part goes back. So folding away from the valley indent. And when on, for instance, on D, where there's two score lines that are really close together, it is important to crease them both. I know it seems really silly and they're so close together, but it does help because this is going to be going around a few things. See, we need that gusset, we need that space. So make sure to fold both of them, fold and crease both of them. And for the B piece, each one of these needs to be folded and creased. So this one's really important because it's kind of like almost like a rolling mechanism. So the better these are creased, the better your whole mechanism is going to work. And since we're almost done, I guess I'm just going to do it all on camera. See how it almost creates kind of a roll there when you have all of them? So that's going to, like, that's your mechanism for everything moving. And then the last piece, the A. Alright, awesome. So those are all your pieces. Alright, so we're going to grab our first base page. It is going to be a closed-ended base page to begin. Okay, so this one closed at the end. The Tyvek covered sections will be on your left-hand side. And we're going to begin with A, obviously, and it is going to be a pocket, and it's going to go onto the right-hand side of your base page. So for pockets, remove the tape backing from the two sides first. And then fold up the bottom so that it adheres just in the focus, darn it. And so it adheres just in the corners here, because that enables a piece of paper here. So imagine this is a big tag, so it will slide nicely into the pocket, whereas if the bottom was first, sometimes it can hit that edge and not slide all the way in. So this way it's got a nice smooth channel. Alright, so then take off the bottom score tape backing. Alright, and line it up with the edge. Alright, there we go. There is first piece from page 1. Whoop whoop, you are well on your way. Only a few more pieces to go. Okay, so A, yay. Alright, now we are going to just push this aside for just a sec. Grab your B piece and your C piece. The C piece is going to adhere to the last section, score taped covered section of your B piece. Okay, so remove just the score tape backing from the very end half-inch section there, and we are going to adhere this onto it and make sure that it does not cover the score line. You still want this to be able to like move and fold freely. Okay, so there's C and B. And then your D piece is going to go on top of the B. So got it like that. You're going to need to add some score tape to the back side in between the score lines. Don't let it hit the score lines. And remove that backing. And if there's any score tape, I've got a tiny bit of score tape that's past the score lines, so just kind of like use your finger to roll it back. Okay, so it's no score tape on the score lines. And we are going to adhere this right down to the bottom of your B piece. Okay, like so. And now we are going to add the E pieces. So you don't have to fold this back. I just found it easier if it's not as, that way I can show you a little bit better. So your first E piece is going to go on this first score line here. Okay. Make sure it is not on top of the score line, but just a smidge below it. The second E piece is going to go on that next half-inch section. And so on. So the third one will go on that third half-inch section. And the fourth one. And the fifth one. Okay, so this is what you should have so far. So now let's fold all of these up and just recrease them so that they move nicely. Like that. Okay. Okay, now we're going to flip the whole thing over. So these are your E's. You've got D right here. The E's are on top of the B piece, and then this is C. So flip it over so that it's in this position. And we are going to adhere your F piece down to the bottom of the C. Okay, so this is the C piece here. It's attached to the B right here. And we're going to add the F piece at the bottom here. Okay, so it will open to the left and it will open down. And then your G piece is going to go on the right side of your F piece. Okay, so you've got G, this is F, they close up, and then you've got C, B, and then D's this little flappy one, and then your E's are there. Alright, now fold the C like that. The B is gonna go over the C, okay? And then the F and G is going to go up and over all of those E pieces, okay? And then these little flaps of your D are what are going to adhere onto this entire section onto the A pocket. So this whole thing is going to go onto the right side of your A. Okay, so this is the A pocket. Remove the backing from those two little D flaps. So those D flaps are going around behind C and adhere the entire thing onto the A pocket on the far right. Okay, so now when you pull down this FG and pull, it will do that. All right, so far so good. So now the H pieces. So one of the H's is going to go on the far left side of the base page. So it will cover over a little bit of A. This is A pocket is right here. So the first H is going to cover over a bit of that and meet up with the edge of this whole section that you just adhered. Now you've got a couple options with the second H. On the tutorial, I have it so that it is on A, right against where we've just adhered this whole section, so it closes over the other H. The only thing that I don't like about that is that when this opens, it kind of like, there's a lot that it has to open over top of. So just to give you another option, it does work though, so you can do it like that. Another option though is to put it on top of the H so that the H will kind of open like that. So I think I'm gonna do it that way, but either way will work. So there is there's always options. I like to give everybody options so that you can kind of like make it a little bit your own. Okay, so either adhere the second H onto A right here, or onto the front of the H on the right hand side so that it pulls out like that. So your choice. All right, and now we're going to do that optional piece. So I have the eyepiece so that it is adhered to the very bottom of the D piece underneath here. So it goes right, it will adhere right here. It might be a little hard to see. Let me just lift it up so I can show you. So these are all your E's, and then you've got your D piece right here. So the I, if you choose to use it, can be adhered right on the bottom edge of the D piece. So when this is all kind of closed up, just kind of slide it in like that to adhere it. So totally your choice if you want to use it or not. It doesn't have to be there. So definitely your choice. I'll put it on so you can see what it looks like, but it doesn't necessarily have to be there. It was just an extra bit. Alright, so it just closes over the E pieces. But then this also closes over the E pieces, so I just wanted an extra spot to put photos, but it's not really necessary to the design. So there you have it, folks. You've just completed the construction. We just need to put some magnets on, and then your page 1 is done. Alright, so first we're going to put some magnets on the H. So I had it so that one H was over top of the other, but since I kind of like did something different on this one, we're going to add 2 sets of magnets. So to add a magnet, you need a little piece of score tape. Make sure that there's like at least a ½ inch all the way around that little piece of score tape. And then you're going to put 2 magnets, so grab 2 that are like magnetized together. Put them on top of that score tape. Put another tiny little piece of score tape on top of those magnets. You're making a little magnet sandwich. Remove the backing and then close up the piece. So now you've got that will adhere the second magnet. So now that has magnets. Then we're going to do the same thing again, going from the back of H onto the A. So a little piece of score tape, 2 magnets, another little piece of score tape, and close it up. There you go. And then we'll also want magnets going from the back of the C piece to the top A piece. I'm going to add 2 sets of magnets here, one on either side. Oh, first let's do the G over the F. So the G piece, and you don't have to use magnets for everywhere that I say to put a magnet. Like if you'd prefer to do a different closure of some kind, if you have some kind of like metal embellishments that you prefer to use, or a little ribbon, or you know, anything else, if you have other ideas, feel free to employ them. Now we're going to do 2 sets on, this is the back of C. Okay, so there is your 2 C pieces going to the top E there. I think I might do, oh, actually I'm going to do a swing tab on this one later on, going from the top E to the I. I think that's what I'm going to do. Or maybe I'll put a magnet going from the I to the back of C. This one, this magnet set I didn't put in the written part of the tutorial because I wasn't sure if I was going to even use the I. That's why I said it was optional. So totally your choice on whether or not you want to do this. It's not really necessary. Sometimes I get going and I have a hard time stopping and I just want one more piece and then one more piece. So sometimes I get carried away, in all honesty. Alright, so that is your page 1 completed in its construction. So now I'm going to get all my pieces ready to decorate it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so decorating, if you've done one of my tutorials before, you know that I do some of the decorating off camera and then show you the rest, and if there's anything funky that needs to go on, I show you that. Because I feel like if you're not using the same paper collection as I am, then it would be boring to watch me put the pattern paper on, and it just takes a long time. So this way you can kind of like have your own creative process, and if you would like to do exactly what I do, then you can pause the video at any point in time and cut out the pieces as I've cut them out. But I also do a lot of paper piecing because I like to use all my scraps, so I don't tend to give measurements for the pattern paper, because sometimes I'll have like 4 or 5 different pieces of paper where you might prefer to just have one solid piece. So this is your kind of time to shine. I don't know why I felt I had to sing that word, but you know, just needed to be sung. Anyway, so this is what I have got so far. I've got a little pull tab. I love me some little door, what are they called? Hinge, no, door fastener, ring fastener I think they're called. So I use a lot of those. So I have, I really like this flower paper, so I've used quite a bit of it. I've got this green part to go over the magnet here. And I do leave spots blank, like free of pattern paper, if I can get away with it, because you don't want anything to get too bulky, and if someone's using it for photos and the spot is perfect for a 4x6 photo, then there's no point in putting pattern paper on it if it's just going to get covered up, right? So that is how I feel about it. So I'm going to put a piece into the pocket. For pieces going into the pocket, you want minimum of a ½ inch going inside the pocket. If you put something so it's just even with the edge of the pocket, the tags can get stuck on it going in and out. So I like to make sure that it is at least a little bit inside the pocket itself, which can be a little bit tricky. You have to make sure that you get it in place, oops, and the right way up before it adheres. So I'm going to line it up here. Okay, so it goes into about there in the pocket. Alright, so that is that part of it. And then over here I added a little metal buckle. It didn't really need it, I just wanted something metal there. So I literally just put it where I wanted it to be placed, punched holes where the holes were, and put it on with a couple brads. So with the brads, I like to cover them up with a little bit of score tape before I put my pattern paper on, just so I know that they are going to stay where I want them to stay and not come out. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do that on the other side as well. And like I said, there's magnets here, so you don't necessarily have to put a clasp of any kind. I just wanted to. Okay, and this one is going here. Now I've already inked all of my pieces, so if you are inking but you're not familiar with how it works, just kind of dab into the ink, take your ink blender and just kind of go like that around the edge. It just gives the edge a little bit of a vintage kind of feel, instead of seeing the white core of the paper that just looks like paper that's just been cut. This kind of makes it look a little bit more finished, more polished, I feel. Again, this is always my own opinion. It's your album, you can do whatever the heck you want with it. If you don't feel like inking, don't ink. I like to have spots for journaling as well, so if you have a piece of paper, say I wanted to use some flowers here, but I didn't have a piece handy that was big enough, so I just used a scrap, and then the rest of the space was for journaling. So it's a good way to kind of figure out where you want journaling spots, is to... Oh no, you're crooked, don't go down yet. There we go. So yeah, I like to use, because my albums are quite large, so I like to use journaling spots as also a way of filling up space, so you don't have to use as much patterned paper. Okay, so that's what I have on the inside. I've left all of these parts blank because they are perfect for a 4x6 photo. I did add some pattern paper to this part that bends. You can't add one full sheet, it has to be separated because this part, the mechanism has to be able to bend right here. So, and then here, so I wanted to put something, but you don't want to put a photo here because it has to be able to move, and if you have any more than one piece, if you have something on top of this, it's going to get caught as it slides up. So for this piece, make sure, like in the pocket, that it is well up in there. So don't cut a piece that is even with this, because that lip of that piece might get caught as the rest of it's sliding in. So I'm going to put some adhesive on that. Okay, so I'm just going to slide that up in there a little ways. Awesome, and now it should slide perfectly. Fantastic. And then that closes up like that. And Bob's your uncle. And then we'll put another tag. I do most of my tags and everything that go in the pockets, I do that at the end normally, because I work with whatever scraps I have left. So hooray, there is your page 1. Alright, I'm going to put this aside, and then I'm going to get all my pieces ready for page 2.